Hey there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really fun letterpress card. If you can see here, I apologize for the anti-shake on my camera. Sometimes it doesn't do what I want it to do. But anyway, you can see that these designs here and the thank you are depressed into the paper using letterpress. And I'm going to show you my homemade letterpress and also how to watercolor this beautiful stamp from About Art Accents. So first thing you're going to need, I'm using some markers, watercolor markers, any watercolor markers. I'm using a couple mini ink pads. I've got a couple light colors. This is Angel Pink and Lilac Posies. I have a stamp. Any sort of like stamp you would want to color. Florals are really good. And what this is here is a cutting pad for my big shot and a piece of masonite that I have basically used a piece of contact paper to attach a piece of grid paper to. So this and these two pieces are adhered together with duct tape. There's a post on my blog. I'll put the information under the video in the show more section, the video description. You can get to that tutorial if you want to make your own letterpress to go with your die cutter machine. So we're going to use our die cutter. I've got the base, the thick platform in here, and I have just a piece of paper to shim. That's something you have to kind of figure out what you need for shimming as far as your letterpressing. So what I've got here, inside here are letterpressing plates, and these are by Lifestyle Crafts. You can, there's other companies that make them, or you can make your own using like a Teresa Collins stamp maker, but these were just from a wedding set. And what I'm going to do is use a mini ink pad very carefully to ink this up, and I'm not rocking this ink pad because I don't want to get ink anywhere around this or it's going to show up on my paper. So just ink it up as carefully as you can with a light color, and then if you want to, you know, darken up some spots, I like to darken up the text a little bit, and then you can just kind of hit it here and there with some dark if you want. I like to go with my finger and just kind of dab it out a little bit because sometimes you get some hard lines, but just try not to let it seep over the edge. Then I'm going to put some special paper. This is actually, it's called Reeves BFK printmaking paper, and it's very versatile. You can use it to watercolor on. It's a very smooth paper, so you can stamp on it really well. So it's great for stamping and watercoloring in. And it's a little easier to find than hot press watercolor paper sometimes. So if you've been looking for good stamping paper to watercolor on, give this a try. So I'm just very carefully going to close this on my paper, so I can see it's going to line up pretty well. That's why I have those little crosshairs drawn on the plate. But again, you can check out that blog post if you want to know more about making your own homemade letterpress. And I'm going to crank this through my big shot here with a little shim in place. This is riveting, fascinating stuff here, isn't it? And through we go. Crank, crank, crank. I could even shim it a little more if I wanted a deeper impression, but this is going to be just fine, I think, today. So when we open it up, we have, it's inked and it's also embossed, or debossed rather. I don't know if you can really pick that up on the video, but it adds a nice elegant touch. So anyway, that was just something fun I wanted to show you because sometimes it's nice to do something different with your supplies. So I'm going to zoom in and we're going to color directly on the rubber with our markers. And I want to show you something really fun. After I did my last project, I sprayed my stamp with water and pressed it on my flannel cloth that I clean up with, and look how crisp that image is. That is the mark of a good quality stamp, folks. If it can, you know, if you can stamp on your rag that you clean your stamps with and it comes out this nice, that's a good stamp. So that's About Art Accents for you, always high quality. So I'm using a variety of Memento, Tim Holtz Distress, and Tombow markers. Any markers are going to be just fine for this. And I'm going to go in with some pink, and I'm going to do the calligraphy and the outline of these pansies. I'm working very quickly because I'm doing a video. You could take more time, of course, as always. Take more time at home if you want to. If you don't, then go through and rush through it. However you like to work is really just fine. There's no rules. There's no stamp police that's going to come to your house and say, hey, you took way too long coloring that, or hey, what's up? Take some time, lady. There are no stamp police. In case you were wondering, there isn't any. And then with the greens, I'm going to kind of outline it with this olive green. I know the big trendy markers right now are those Tim Holtz Distress markers, and I have to say that I've got Tombows that are that I got 5 years ago on a yard sale that had been used a lot, that are still as sharp and as fresh as these brand new Tim Holtz markers. So use what you have, see if that works, and if it doesn't, and you want to try something else, then go give them a try. These are fine markers. I do find the the nibs tend to wear down a little bit on them. Then again, you're coloring, you know, textured rubber stamps, so that's going to happen. But, you know, use what you have first. If it doesn't work out, go try something else. Well, that would be my advice in the marker department. And I'm going to get a little more color. Whoops, wrong end. Here, I like these mementos an awful lot. They've got a nice hard plastic nib for journaling, and they got the brush nib, but they don't seem to wear down as quickly as the Tim Holtz markers. And you can get a 4-pack at Joann's. Regular price is $10. I think they're $10 pretty much anywhere, but at the stamp show at Gary Berlin, they had them for $6, and I've gotten them on sale as low as $5 at Joann's. So I think they are a really good buy. And the Tombos, of course, Tombos are wonderful. All right, so now that I have colored that all in, what I'm going to do is give that a little spritz of water. I found that breathing on it wasn't making it moist enough, so I'm moving my good paper out of the way, and I'm going to spritz it. And I'm actually spritzing the air kind of above it, and I'm going to let the moisture just kind of fall in it like that. So it's just a very, very fine mist. This is a very fine misting spray bottle, so you wanna have a spray bottle that's like that. So I'm gonna put my letterpress paper right down there. Excuse me, get a cough. And then I'm gonna try to line that up so that it's not crooked. Will wonders ever cease, folks? We'll see. Might be crooked, I don't know. It'll be good enough. Good enough for the video. You'll be able to tell what I'm doing once you try it yourself. You know what I'm doing. You know I'm crooked sometimes. Can't help it. Not shooting it over. Can't be doing that. Can't be editing or shooting it over. That's not how I roll. Alright, now look at that. Okay, it doesn't look very fancy, does it? Well, you know what? I'm going to turn this around so it's right set up for you. Look at that. It's just the kind of chick I am. I'll turn it around for you. And I'm going to use this fancy tool that's called a plain old watercolor paintbrush. It's actually a kid's watercolor paintbrush. It's like, I don't know, 25 cents. I don't know. It was in a package for a couple bucks at some craft store. And I got a bucket of water here. Nothing fancy. You could use a water brush. That'll be just fine, and cherry wine as well. And what I'm going to do is just kind of go around and pick up some color and spread it around. Look at that. It's so easy. I'm going to do my pinks first from the outline. And then as I want shadows, I'll pick up some of the purple and drag it in just like that. See that? We're in frame, aren't we? Oh boy. We're just making miracles happen here. We're in frame and we're not stamping crooked. That's as good as it gets, folks. Now let's say I wanted more color, because I often do want more color because I'm a colorful gal. At least that's what I'm told. Oh, by the way, that little move I just pinched like a bead of water off the end. I do that sometimes when I'm watercoloring because I might not want so much water. So if I'm working like with a stamped image and I want to control how much water I have on my brush, I just pull it over to the edge and I give it a pinch, and that will pinch that little bead of water that likes to collect on the end there. So let's say I want a little more water. So I'm going to take this extra, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit to show you this here. I'll take this extra stamping block that I have. I'm just going to put a piece of white paper underneath so you can see. And I will scribble out some color on here. Make sure you can see everything here. And I know I'm going to need some yellow, so I'll just go ahead and scribble some of that yellow out. The white paper underneath just helps me see what I have. And I know I want some more pink, so I'm going to scribble that out. And maybe a little green. I'll probably want a little green in there. Oh, my stamping block's kind of oogie right now. I don't know what that stickiness on. There's probably some aliens tack it over and over on there. Who knows? Certainly not me. So I could pick up a little paint right like that and go in and add more color if I want to. Now I try to keep this really loosey-goosey because that's how I like my watercolors and my watercolor stamping to look. But if you want more of a controlled look, then don't put so much water, don't put so much paint, and apply it slowly. You can get the look that you want. My stamp skipped a little bit there, so I'm going to go in with a little purple and just pull that color in to complete my image. These little brushes are kind of nice for a beginner because they don't carry so much water, so you're not going to end up with big blobs where you don't want it. I'm just going to do a basic yellow wash around the outside, just grabbing a little bit of that yellow marker with quite a bit of water, and just throw in a little bit of yellow around the design. Your paper might warp a little bit while you're putting the watercolor on, and that's just because paper likes to warp when it's wet. Don't worry about it, it will flatten out as it dries. I want a little bit more pink there. Ooh, that's a lot more pink. And I want a little bit of yellow, and I might just go right in with a marker for that. in the centers. And I can blend it out a little bit. And then I want to do my leaves. I can add more green if I want, which I think I do. I think I want a little more green in there. But the nice thing about this is that it almost looks painted, really. I mean, you're kind of blurring the edges here and there. You've got those lost and found edges that are popular with watercolor. It's just such a lovely look, and you can see how quick and easy it is to make a card. So really, that's all there is to it. Mounted on a plain white background or a colored background, whatever you think will look the best. If you want to accent your deckled edges, now here I didn't accent the deckled edges, I just left it as is. But if you want to, pick a color that you like. I think I'm going to go with this green and just kind of scribble it out. And then dip your brush in the water and just drag it along the edge. If you want, you can lay your paper down. But I find dragging it along the edge, I get a much more unnatural look. And there's one more thing I want to show you before we go. And it is the color that you use for your letterpressing can really affect whether it looks letterpressed or if it doesn't even look like it's indented at all. Okay, so here I used a lighter color. And I can see, I don't know if you could see it on the video, but I could see that it's indented. I think you can see right there. Look at the flowers. See how you could kind of see that shadow? You can see that it's indented. Here is one I did with a darker ink pad, and you can't even really tell that there's a shadow in there because the ink is so dark. Like on this one, this is the first one I tried. I actually used the markers to color this letterpress plate, and you could see a little bit better. I didn't use the extra packing on that, so it doesn't show up quite as well. But I just want to tell you, if you go with the lighter colors when you're letterpressing, it will show up more. So there you have it. A really fun, quick and easy watercolor technique and letterpress technique. And again, I will have the link to the homemade letterpress tutorial under this video. I want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting!